Day for Manchester United were one of the greatest footballers, not just to grace the field at Old Trafford or wear the England shirt, but one of the greatest football players of all time. So Bobby Charlton passes away. Man United win a game in what you could describe as a typical United performance, not always the best team, gritty, a late winner in the game. And of course, as a United fan, I'm happy that we honoured him. I'm happy that we pick up the 3 points. But of course, big question marks remain over this Manchester United team when you focus upon the performance, the fact that there were large periods of that first half especially where a relegation-riddled team in Sheffield United were dominating possession and were dominating the play. So it was a win to honour the life of Sir Bobby, but a performance that I believe is not befitting, not just of a legend such as him, but any great Manchester United, or even, in fact, good Manchester United team of the past. And lots of questions have to be asked of this team. And I almost feel bittersweet when talking about Man United in this way, because we've won a game. And of course, I'm happy. But the performance is key. And so far this season, there have been very few performances to write home about. This Man United team lacks shape. This Manchester United team lacks discipline. There are so many holes that get exposed when we are attacked. If and when we score a goal, the fact that we leak like a broken fridge almost instantly, the lack of concentration, the lack of compactness to our team is something to seriously concern ourselves over. If Sheffield United can open us up with such ease, the likes of Manchester City, the Arsenals, the Liverpools could rip this team limb from limb. Now, in terms of the win, we'll speak about it. We'll talk about the performance later. Look, happy with the win. I want to say well done to Scott McTominay. We know we're not going to get great play in the middle from him. We know we're not going to get a Zinedine Zidane, a Xavi, an Iniesta, a Paul Scholes, a Michael Carrick when it comes to running that midfield. But what we know the man can do is score you some goals up the other end, and he did his job today. Of course, he gives away the penalty. Hold my hands up. I think it is based on the law, based on the penalties that we've seen conceded by Everton today, conceded by Arsenal today. Man United had to concede that penalty. But to give it away so soon after scoring was frustrating. Where I will credit Man United is we ended the second half well, started the second half a bit loose, a bit sloppy. They had a few good shots and attempts on goal. Brewster came on and had a really good shot within a few seconds, and that was it. After that point, look, Man United dominated. We dominated the ball. We dominated the proceedings. But where we're really lacking is opening up our opponents and creating those gilt-edged chances. The only player today that had those chances for him was Rasmus Højlund. He should have scored 2 or 3 goals today. He didn't bury it. And these are the problems that we face as a team. We go through large periods where we lack cohesion, we lack shape, we lack patterns, we don't create the chances. And then when we do find our purple patches within these games, we are not putting the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. You put those two things together and it makes a vulnerable team. In terms of DALOT, look, I want to say well done with your goal. Could their goalkeeper have done better with the shot? Potentially. But it was hit with a serious amount of venom. It was very tight into that top corner. It's a very good strike from him. And do I think Man United deserve to win this game today? Yes. But I'm at a point now with United where I'm looking beyond the individual game and I can't help it. Happy that we took over the second half. Very happy that we won. Back-to-back victories. Move on to 15 points. Into 8th position in the league, which is important for us. We're only, from a Champions League spot right now, we're only 1 point away because top 5 teams are going to make it. So from that perspective, it's good. But I can't move away from the overall performance. And I look at the situation where I think to myself, look, we've spent a lot of this year talking about how Casemiro is the problem. Well, he was missing today and there was no improvement. I do look at the likes of Rashford and Bruno that, again, I thought both of them were overly poor today. Rashford, by the way, created some good chances for Højlund. Bruno gets the assist, but overall, I thought their performances were poor. But this is what I've been saying for a few weeks. I am not convinced dropping them fixes us. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be dropped. And again, that is how silly people analyze that. And I've been saying this for years about Man United, and I've never been able to quite put my finger on it, and I want your help. Casemiro's out today. We were still getting run through the middle, which tells you it's a shape and a system issue. But we've changed managers before, and nothing improves either, which is why I go back to what I've always believed it is. Mentality. Mentality, 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 mentality. Because we drop players and we buy players, we sack managers, we keep managers, and we still will moan about the same things, which is why I told you all 4 or 5 weeks ago, the idea that selling Bruno and Rashford and sacking the manager would fix this is nonsensical. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be criticized for poor performances. There's a difference between criticism and saying, do these 3 things and we're back. Because that's what we've got to be aiming for. We're back. You can't confuse 2 things, and that's what everybody does. They amalgamate the conversations. So on a performance today, as I said, Rashford, Bruno, shocking from those guys. Honestly, so poor again. The fact that Højlund's being taken off, and I know he missed some chances, but he was there. And those 2 stayed on was mesmerizing to me. It really was. The midfield, though, with and without Casemiro, we've seen it get run. In fact, we got run through today by a relegation team for large periods, especially that first half. That is without Casemiro. So we kind of know that he isn't the reason that's happening. That's now been proven as far as I'm concerned. This is about how we're playing football. Now, we can say it's the way the manager's coaching us and training us and making us play. But again, I've seen us sack 5 managers when we've said this and it hasn't worked. This is about these players handling wearing that shirt for me. I truly believe that to my core. And until we develop a culture where the players can handle the pressure, they're gone. Now, maybe the individuals just can't handle pressure per se. Maybe it's just at Man United they can't handle the pressure. But I'm looking at players who are just devoid of fight. And even when we went 2-1 up, did any of you really feel confident? We had 2 or 3 chances to kill the game off. We couldn't do it. There's a nervousness about the players. A relaxed team ends up winning that game 3-4-5. We can't do it. And it's so frustrating to watch. And I get people calling that Bruno, people calling out these guys. I'm not saying they shouldn't be dropped. I'm saying don't delude yourself into thinking we're going to become an exponentially better team until the mentality shift changes. This is, I'm going to call you guys out. Terry, permission to banter United right now. I mean, you can banter Man United right now if you want to, Debbie. That's entirely up to you. You don't need my permission. So you're telling me I can't banter anyone today? Unacceptable. No, I haven't said that, Debs. Terry, I'm glad you won, but seriously, your legend died, and that was your performance. Thank you, Scott. Look, I am going to say this. I wanted a great performance for Sir Bobby today. But all that did was add more pressure to these players. And I told you before, they can't handle pressure. I know we're in an era of formations and tactics and patterns, and I don't really know what that means. And someone told me that it's when you see repetitive forms of play. And I'm like, bruv, in my day, we called that shit predictable. Who the fuck wants to be predictable? But anyway, it's about mentality. They can't handle it. As soon as the pressure's on this team, they fold like a house. They're a house of cards. That's literally what these men are. They're a house of cards. And I know we won. I'm just saying, you're not going to get things out of them when it comes to pride and passion because they can't handle that pressure, bruv. They're not built like that. This says, where are those who pointing the fingers at Casemiro? How did Amrabat do? It's not a single person job. We have too many number 10s trying to fit in, is what Nabil says. Look, I agree with you on the Casemiro stuff. And listen, he was right to be criticized this year, but this idea that he would be out of the team and we would become peak Barcelona was a madness, a genuine madness or illness. One of the 2 things. Hi, Terry. Congrats on the win. Thank you. Listen, by the way, let me just say this. I am happy. What is Terry on about? See, when people say, what is Terry on about? That's them saying, shit, Terry's been right about this all along, but I can't admit it, my friend. You know exactly what I am talking about, my friend. Paid off the refs. Yeah, we paid off the refs and we to concede a penalty. That's exactly what we did there. Which players can't handle the pressure, Terry? Name them. I would argue that most of the players at this club can't. Even players that come, and what happens is it's about erosion. Because I look at Casemiro and Varane, who are two players that were part of, you could argue, the greatest European team of all time in Real Madrid. Definitely in the modern day era, the greatest. We've seen them regress. We've seen them handle less pressure. It's a collective. And this is the thing, it's a team sport. So there will be individuals that struggle and everybody makes mistakes. And then you'll get a handful of people that go through some good periods. But as a team, we struggle. So at the moment, I look at Bruno and I look at Rashford, they're struggling. Historically, Anthony Martial, every time somebody comes in and challenges him for his position, he crumbles. As an example, you look at Onana right now, he is definitely struggling mentally. There's even a shot today that led to a corner. I think it wasn't from McBurney, but from somebody. It was going over. It was clearly going over. A confident goalkeeper pulls his hand away. Because Onana's not confident, he gets a fingertip to it just to make sure. That's a mental issue, not an ability issue. Rashford, when he squared that pass the other week against Galatasaray, he undercooked it because he's in two minds around what to do. It's not because he's a bad decision maker. It's because he's panicking. It's panic. It's panic. 110%. When you barely beat Sheffield United without playing well, you don't think you can get a result against City at home next week? Of course you don't. I personally don't. I'm worried about that. We'll touch on that another day. Do us a big favor, people, though, and hit the like button, please, and make sure you are subscribing. What I will say today is Man United beating Sheffield United. I mean, I'm surprised the gal's not backstage to congratulate us because he said that would be a huge shock, us winning today. So I want to know where my guy is on that one. Damn, United have finished is what CJ has got to say. If Bruno and Rashford are struggling, why does Ten Hag keep playing them? I agree with you. And that's where I think the criticism of Ten Hag is needed. And I think we should drop them and see how it goes. My point is, which is the layered thinking, and I know I sound arrogant when I say it, but we need to just start calling spades here and stop scratching. There's a famous lyric from a very famous Oasis song, which is, you've got to stop scratching around in the same old hole. You know, with this, drop those two and we're fixed. That I don't believe 100%, but I want to test the water. See the difference in those two opinions? Bruno was fine today. Stop lumping him with Rashford. See, I don't think he was fine today. I don't think he was. Again, I thought Bruno Fernandes was average today. Even his assist for McTominay was an overhit pass that McTominay, like, in fairness, McTominay's control and shot was pretty good. But yeah, look, he wasn't good today, Bruno Fernandes. Far from good today. In terms of the standards that I hold a player of his abilities. By the way, watch him play for Portugal. The man's a menace. He's a menace. He's a menace. Not for Man United, though, right now. Did pretty well. Listen, if you thought he did well, you're entitled to that opinion, bro. I just disagree. Terry, I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully we get the 3 points. Last season, we struggled at United. Bro, Man United's performance has got to go up by about 95% if we have got any chance of beating you. Amrabat, a big plus. Erasmus and Rashford did okay. Too static. Not enough people running off the ball. Lazy. You could argue it's lazy. Some people would argue that it's the system. And maybe we'll get into that. Panel coming out now. We've got Cameron Lowe, Canadian Cam. We've got new Cameron. We've got KJ. We've got Sunshine. And United Hannah is back with us on the show today. Do us a big favor, though, people, and smash like buttons. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. We're going to bring everybody out now to have their say on that game. Welcome back, everyone. Congratulations, United fans. We won a game, which is nice. KJ, though, what did you make of the performance? Your face says a lot, unless the screen is frozen. There we go.
No, I was literally going to start off with, well, if you look at everyone's faces when you said, congratulations, United fans, we won a game, no one flinched, no one smiled, no one moved. That's how we feel right now. Even wins are painful. We just can't put a clean performance together right now. It's crazy. And we can talk about Bruno, and he wasn't great. You can talk about Rashford, he wasn't great. Both players did things in the game that were okay, but for overall, they weren't great. You look at overall that the team, the only good players really today were the ones that normally will get a load of stick in Evans and Maguire and Lindelof at times. So they're the only really ones that did okay for the majority of the game. The rest of the players up and down as per usual. And I feel like I agree with your statement. Drop in Bruno and Rashford. Do it, fine, cool. But it doesn't change the overarching issue with the team right now. And I think the biggest thing is Erik ten Hag is trying this 4-3-3 single pivot, 2 midfielders pushing up high to press, and then we're leaving 1 midfielder with the defense. It just needs to stop. Go back to the double pivot that was using last season. Do that, because guess what? When Amrabat had Eriksen next to him, a player who's going to sit a little bit deeper because he can't do the high press, we controlled the game more because we had 2 players deeper and have obviously the technical ability to keep the ball a bit more. It's just simple things like that. Like Neji was the guy who started the conversation about, have we taken too many steps, or tried to take too many steps forward, and now we've gone backwards, and it looks like it's been the case. And Ten Hag just needs to keep it simple. These players are not Ajax players. They don't, from birth, they're not trained to play every position and then can go on a football pitch and rotate and be fluid. These guys can't do that. They need set. Left back at left back, right back at right back, left wing at left wing, striker at striker, cam at cam. They just need that set, basic way of playing. And as much as Ali got ridiculed for it, as much as at times Mourinho got ridiculed for it, we can see why they did that. Because these guys, they, as a team, as a squad, we haven't got the fluid formation, the 4-3-3 moving into a 3-5-6 hexagon, 8-10 formation. We ain't got that. So Ten Hag needs to keep it simple next time. Keep it simple. Drop the midfielders back a bit. Get some ball players next to the destroying Amrabat, and just play a simple game. Stop trying to invert the fullbacks. Stop trying to push up so high, and let the players' strengths shine. And I think that's the way we can move forward and do something. But yeah, man, painful win, but at least we won.
Yeah, I hear. I know you've got a shoot in a minute, Cam, not Canadian Cam. What did you make of today? Do you agree with what KJ is saying? This is about going back to basics. Is this about the players not having the mentality to handle the pressure of the situation they're in? A combination of the two. How do you see it, bruv?
Yeah, I agree with KJ. I think we should even try going back to the basics of all the way back to a 4-4-2 in some games, because when you look at the players we have, Højlund is a fantastic player. And I think he did go off early today because we've got the midweek game where we need to win. But it's like, with this single pivot and 2 midfielders, we've got players that aren't used to playing possession football. Because don't forget, when Bruno came into the team, he came to a side where he had to save. He had to save us. So it wasn't about keeping the ball, having good patterns of play. It was about Bruno's going to get that ball and try to get us some goals. And I feel like for him to now adapt to this new style of play Erik ten Hag is trying to do, the right players need to be around, and there needs to be intense training. And I think Ten Hag, I think he's a bit clueless, honestly, because the international break gave me a lot of time to really think and not be too rash. Because as you know, I've been on Bruno. It's giving me time to think. And I think Erik ten Hag, honestly, I don't think he has much of a clue what to do to get us to play good football. And I think he's lost now. Sometimes you get stuck. Has anyone ever had writer's block or a creative block when trying to create content? I feel like that's what Erik ten Hag is going through right now. He's a bit blocked and doesn't know exactly what to do, which is why KJ is saying, go back to the basics if you're blocked. Tell your players to do the basic stuff. Like Rashford, if you can't beat your winger, you're a fullback, get the ball, play it into the middle, recycle the ball. Let's keep it a bit. I wanted us to make this game boring for Sheffield, but we made it exciting for them. You could see from the first 5 minutes, Sheffield actually thought we could get something from this. We made them excited to play against us. We could have just kept the ball, recycled it. Still 1-2-1, 1-0, whatever, but just made it a bit more boring for Sheffield. But we just make it exciting for the opponents every single time. And I agree with you saying, Terry, yeah, dropping Bruno and Rashford ain't gonna really help the situation. I agree with that now. Before, I used to think, you know what, just drop them and we're gonna play well. But it's not as simple as that. It's literally the patterns of play. Whatever they're doing in training, all these players can't do it together, and it's not working. So whoever starts, it's just not gonna happen. Because we saw Garnacho start at the beginning of the season when Rashford was unavailable. We saw that happen, and Garnacho's a sick player. Don't get me wrong, he's sick, but he's clearly not ready to be starting week in, week out for Man United. It just doesn't make sense unless it's on the right wing, which I think we should try out. We should try the Rashford, Højlund, and Garnacho. you get what I'm saying? Like, we should try it. We haven't tried it yet. But
just 3 men who want to shoot.
yeah, man. Yeah, it's just go. Especially Copenhagen. We need that.
Do you know what? I hear you. Do you know the only thing that with what you and KJ have said, that I don't disagree with your point. I think going back to basics may help because I think it'll actually calm the players down. The reason why I think I find it hard, and maybe I'm galaxy braining this, is because the amount of players I've seen leave Man United, and by the way, I think if Rashford left and joined another team, Bruno, DALOT, whoever, we saw, by the way, what Ericsson was like when he was at Brentford. I just think they would leave. If they go to a club where there's less pressure than Man United, they'd thrive and we'd say, why couldn't we get them to do that? They'd suddenly start playing football in a way. If you literally took McTominay and put him in that Brighton team, I guarantee you in a year's time, we'll be asking why we sold him.
Yeah.
These players, when they go to clubs where there's less pressure, they seem to come alive. Look what Ashley Young still do. I know he got sent off today, but look at Ashley Young went and did in Italy. Look what Smalling. We all wanted Smalling out of the door. Look what he went and did. The amount of players that leave our club, not all of them do it, but the amount that leave, and within a year or two, we're all being laughed at by rivals for saying, but look what they're doing elsewhere. Lukaku is an example, and whoever else. That's my only
They gain stability though.
Sorry, mate.
One thing, they gain stability though. So one thing that I was thinking today, sorry to cut you off, Tal, is just one thing I was thinking today is just we just look so disconnected, no chemistry. Everything's just a little bit off. Like every touch, even when Bruno got that one ball, he was supposed to just guide it, come down, and he puts it out. It's just like all these little moments. You're like, what's wrong with y'all? Like all these, it's like they've never played together. And I think when we talk about when players leave, they gain a stability that you just don't have right now at United. You have to look at
just a quick one to back your point as well. Listen to the commentary. The ones I listened to that said that it's our 7th backline pair. Backline.
Yeah, 7th backline pair.
In 8 games.
We've had 5 players. We've had 5 players play left back. I'm not even trying to blame the injuries. I'm just saying because of whatever's going on at the club, and then you think about all the background noise, right? That also causes instability. There's so many things that are going on in their club that have been going on with these players, so they can't get right.
And even to challenge our own selves here, if we go back to basics, then you start from square one again. And at some point, you're going to look to progress the football. And there's almost this element of, do we have to just persevere through it, even through the pain? Maybe, because every time a manager tries to play more forward thinking, we go through this. And there's an element here on us as well. And the club, I make you right. This is what's hard when it comes to Man United. We can look at the game and go, these 2 or 3 players are crap. This don't work. The problem is we're 5 managers in, and I feel like we're just talking about the same stuff every time, and none of it's worked so far for 10 years. And I find it hard just to. Do you get where I'm coming from?
I do know fully, because you think of a moment today with Marcus and Højlund where Marcus should have shot maybe, but he put in the pass for Højlund. But he put in the pass for Højlund and made the run, which would have made him wide open if he got it back, and he didn't. And you're just like, that moment right there for me just encapsulates what's happening at our club. It's like, that would have been beautiful. It was right there. You don't know each other. It's like it's like almost like you don't like each other. So I think we say year in, year out the same thing, but I don't disagree with going back to the basics in a sense, because then what? Then we never get to the point that we're trying to get to, unless we just accept it. And KJ, you said it the other day, I don't mind being a counterattacking side. If that's what you're good at, do it and be the best at it. When we were the best counterattacking side in the world, I was like, yeah, cool. I wasn't upset. People were talking about possession football. I'm like, no, hit them on the break. Anyway, that's just
we're scoring 3-4 goals a game.
That was beautiful.
With that,
if you're gonna stick to a style, you have to stick to it. So that's what I'm saying. If we're now trying to play Erik ten Hag football, you gotta, in my opinion, you gotta go through the pain.
Yeah, but I don't even know what Erik ten Hag football is right now. I don't think he knows what. I don't think he knows what it is right now.
That's a great point. Hannah's here with us. Welcome back. I know we've been away with the international break. We spoke about the performance. We know that it wasn't particularly great. We know the win, though, is important. What were the positives that you saw from Man United tonight?
I feel there's a lot of, like, there's individual areas.
I'm sorry.
Can you tell? I was thinking what was not good. You know what? There's some individual players that are great. I mean, I know he came off, but Højlund, he always looks shit hot in the box. I think when McTominay's on and he's in the box, I question, is he being played in the wrong position? But we all know this about McTominay. But then he goes and gives away that penalty. So I just think positives right now, Terry, I'll be really honest, I'm like the positive fan. But going into a game where we're about to play, a game where we must win or at the Champions League, and then we play City, and then we play Newcastle with the Carabao Cup knockouts. Like, it's not, yeah, KJ, exactly. It's not exciting at the moment. I don't look forward to those games. And I know last season, like, we were playing amazing, but we had, the belief after every game, like, we can go and win another game. We went and won the derby, and then we went and won the cup. And it's like going to play these same opponents, even at home, in the next 2-3 fixtures. I don't feel that same excitement that I did last season. So when you ask me about positives, Terry, I love to be positive, and I think there's some individual brilliance, but like everyone else is saying, I look at us play and I think, what's our plan? Like, what is this plan? Like, there's no, like everyone said, there's just no chemistry between us, and it's really stressful to watch. And no disrespect to Sheffield United, but they're going to get relegated this season, and we struggled today. Like, we were lucky to get that win. Like, we struggled. So there's not much confidence right now, Terry. I can't lie. Maybe ask me.
No, I hear where you're coming from completely. I do. I think that I feel the same.
That's the positive, but it.
That's it. Just a free. Do you know what's really crazy about this season? We have 5 wins. Okay, we did 4 defeats. We have 5 wins. Like, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Spurs have been raved about this year. They've only got 6 wins each. Like,
we've got more wins than losses. Wait, what? What the hell?
Yeah, we do.
Like
we haven't drawn. Everybody else has drawn games. Like, Arsenal have drawn 3, Liverpool 2, Spurs have drawn 2. We haven't drawn anything. And obviously, like, the wins are better than draws, obviously, and that's very basic. But no, I agree. I almost don't look forward to Man United games at the minute, because I just kind of know the performances that we're going to get. Sunshine, I know you've called this out a lot. What were your thoughts on today's game and remedies to fix it?
I'm just happy with the result first and foremost, bro. I wanted the result, and like you said, I predicted it. I'm not saying it to back myself. It's not a prediction that I wanted to make. It was just glaring obvious when you put all the factors together, and it's quite ironic hearing some of you guys comment saying, let's just go back to what we were doing last season, which was the blueprint of what I was trying to say last season about stick with what we had last season, just go get strikers, because making this big step with the profiles we've done has opened us up, and it is a couple of steps back, and some people don't want to relish that. I prepared for it, so that's why I'm not as emotional or vexed. But at the same time, I do share everyone's frustrations and upsets, and like I said, it's jarring at the moment just to get results like this, but it's results business right now, and Ten Hag needs more than 2 seasons, and if he wanted more than 2 seasons, I just don't think he should have gone down the line that he did in the transfer markets, and that'll always, for me, be the Achilles heel that may take him out. But yeah, even the performances today, Onana had one of his best performances this season. Yes, we know he's not very comfortable at the moment. We know he's shaky, but this is what you need when you're performing and underperforming. What De Gea gave you last season, it wasn't just down to our back four. When you're defending, you're leaking goals or creative chances and stuff, because even the football last season, a lot of people think that we were solid. There were many games where we got cut open, and it wasn't until De Gea saved us, and Onana did that today for me for a couple of chances where he kept the ball at the net and kept us in the game, and we went and won 2-1 today. Didn't say we performed amazing, don't think we did. However, it shows you how important it is to have a goalkeeper that is able to at least keep the ball at the net and take some ownership on that part of defensively. And it's gone now. The De Gea situation's gone now. He's got to work. I'm with Cam on this, Canadian Cam, where he's now made his bed. He's got to get something out of the way we play. And the bit where I would side with Ten Hag is that the injuries are massive. A lot of people don't like to talk about injuries because they are factors that then allow rival fans to have to be quiet because they don't like them. But again, I'm not trying to do anything from a biased perspective. If you had KJ out and any other workers that were working around you for a couple of shows over a couple of weeks, are you going to sit there and listen to people in the comments saying, well, it doesn't matter because you're still the terrorist, you should be able to do X, Y, Z? No, you need your team.
And when you're drowning without me, people, let it be known.
I would have been in trouble with that, KJ, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
And my point being is Ten Hag's not only trying to transition to the way he wants to play this season, But now he's doing it where you're playing, 5 different left backs, 2 of them aren't even left backs. Your midfield's, in my opinion, woeful. And again, our back line has changed 7 out of the 9 games. So it's even worse and harder for him. This is why I sympathise with him to go, even now I can't judge Ten Hag and go, you don't know what you're doing. You're having to adapt whilst making a big step, trying to change the way you've played. All these factors to me are important. So I'm not going to not criticise him for certain things, even substitutions, etc., because that's normal. I mean, I can't argue that. But when there's certain factors that are being ignored, I'm just one of those fans who will not ignore any factor if it means it needs to be brought up. So I'm not Ten Hag out, and I do appreciate what he's doing. But right now, he just needs to find results because, like I said, his Achilles heel was him making too much of a big step and profile changes, and it's seemingly being that way.
I think what's interesting about what you're saying is this, that, you know, some of the issues are on the manager and he needs to be criticised, given time to fix them. But another big issue for us is not scoring. When you actually look at this and deep it, it's crazy. So in the Premier League, this is Rasmus Højlund, no goals, no assists. And I'm going to pick here midfielders and forwards that are attack-minded. In the Prem, Rasmus Højlund, no goals, no assists. Mason Mount, no goals, no assists. Sancho only made 3 sub appearances, but no goals, no assists. Palestri, no goals, no assists. Anthony, no goals, no assists. Anthony Martial, no goals, no assists. Alejandro Garnacho, no goals, no assists. Marcus Rashford, 1 goal, 1 assist. Bruno Fernandes, 2 goals, 2 assists. Our top goal scorer is Scott McTominay on 3 goals. Then it's Bruno, then it's Casemiro. The crazy thing here is none of our attacking players, barring Bruno Fernandes as a midfielder, 9 games, 4 goal contributions is okay. I'd like a little more from his standard, but none of our front line.
But Terry, this is what I'm trying to say to you.
That's crazy when you say that.
That's what I was trying to say to you last season, that just getting a keeper that allows you to play football out the back or whatever, it doesn't matter. None of these changes that we've made matter if we're not going to put the ball in the back of the net. The statement I made, and I've been very, very clear with that, based on everything that I've been trying to say, objectively, was that we will create more this season, but we will concede more. And none of that actually matters because we can't put the ball in the back of the net.
You know what?
I hope this is the last time I have to repeat that, but
you know what?
that is literally our biggest issue.
I totally agree. I just want to double down on that, saying we're actually on average having 4 more shots per game this season than last year, and we've created, after 9 games, more big chances per game.
Which is what
that isn't the only reason that we've been struggling. We have gone to sleep and had poor shape after scoring goals. There's no doubt about it. You factor into that some really poor mistakes from, say, Onana, who's cost us some goals. There's some individual stinkers of performances. Rashford, Bruno, we know Casemiro. Some of these guys have had some really bad games. And then there's adapting to this new system and style. And that's where I think it's multi-layered. There's elements of that where you look at the manager. There's components where you will look at individual players. And then you have to look at the situation where you turn around and for mistakes, I mean. And then you have to look at certain individuals' performances and say, well, we've had chances to score goals. Even at the end, I know that it was given offside, but 1, Garnacho shouldn't be running offside. 2, Martial
he was actually on, by the way. He was actually on. When you watch the freeze frame, he would have been on.
Wait for the line. But the point is, they gave it offside. Martial delayed the pass too long for me anyway, and then the shot was awful and it went wide. Those are those things. And by the way, we're in so many games. If you just go back through Man United's fixtures so far this season, let's just look at it just in the Premier League as an example here. Sorry, because I've clicked on the wrong button and gone backwards now because the screen moves for advertising. You just go to these Premier League games as an example. Wolves, we won. Spurs should have been 2 or 3-0 up in that game before they took over and dominated. We beat Forest. We conceded early, but we played well after that as an example. Arsenal, very narrowly beaten in that game, but hard game, right? Brighton, we had abundance of chances for 25 minutes, didn't take anything, then they battered us. Burnley, they started well, we took over, but we could have got that game killed off sooner. Crystal Palace, again, how we lost to them, I'll never know. Brentford, yes, we came back and won in the dying moments, but we should have scored so many goals earlier. You kind of go through those games, and I think there's at least 2 wins in that are clinical. Forget all the other things that have gone wrong, keep them. If we were just clinical and scoring at the same rate as last year, we have 2 more wins. You had 2 more wins to Man United start this season, and we'd be currently sitting on 21 points, top of the league. And that's still with these problems. So just these players getting their heads in gear and scoring goals is what would give the manager the time to implement his style. The problem is if we go back to basics and we start playing differently again, is we're never going to get to the style that we want to have. And if we keep delaying it and delaying it and delaying it, we're never going to get. It's like when people say, anyone who says I start a diet Monday or I'm giving up smoking from Monday will either never start it or never sees it through. If you're going to give something up, you just do it straight away. And I think that's where we are with this now. And people say, that's what me. Style? Again, just I get what you mean, but we all know what the manager's trying to do. He's trying to have more possession. He's trying to commit more men to being up the pitch. And in terms of style of play, it doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a name. It's just one touch, two touch, pass.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be a ticky.
Working the ball into the box. It's just basic. Football's very simple. It hasn't got a name. And if we want to, we can give it a name if you want, and then we say what it is. We know how we try and play. We know when we try and switch it. We know we all see the patterns. We're just not delivering in them. How do we know this? Because the underlying metrics are there. The underlying data is there. The footage is there. If Haaland's tapping that he had from Rashford's cross today, then the missed shot from Rashford, Haaland should be scoring those two chances. He scores them. We go in at halftime 3-1 up. We then dominate the second half the way we did and maybe score one more. We were 4-1 and we're all smiling. If the performance was identical, but we finished those chances, none of us would be angry.
I think once Hoyland sees the ball go in the net, we're going to see a different player. I will say at least he's getting into those positions. I said I wasn't going to really go at the Mount signing for a bit, but the more and more it's just you deep it and you just think, I mean, my man's been hurt not playing, and when he is playing, he doesn't do much. So you're just thinking what that 60 million could have done.
Listen, you want to go at one signing he's made,
huh?
If you want to go at one signing he's made, it's got to be Anthony, bro, because
I actually thought Anthony was good today.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I thought he was fine today.
What does he
do? That's one of the worst signings in the history.
What does he do?
Anthony can't even beat eggs, bruv. A man can't beat eggs.
Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, Rashford finishes that chance today. That was Anthony who won the ball terrible. Back. Who made that was all him, wasn't it? No,
I'm upset. No, I'm upset because I wanted when I saw the Beyblade spin. I was ready for it, innit? I wanted that, at the theater. I did. When I saw the comps got me, man.
We should have known.
I was hoping that he could just try and elevate his game. He's not quick enough. He's not strong enough. He's way more inconsistent than Rashford. And if Rashford's inconsistent and crap, that makes Anthony. Like, it's just there's so many players that on the pitch, you ask yourself, what do they do? So Mason Mount, you ask him, what does he actually bring to the team? Anthony, what does he actually bring to the team? Anthony
I don't have
Martial,
a problem with Mount.
He came on, and what does he do? What does he do? What does Anthony Martial do in the football pitch? People tell me what he does because I'm confused.
That layoff,
I'm confused.
You know, Mason Mount, I think he's over-criticized, I think I don't really have much of a problem with him. I think he came in to be a midfielder that we know is of a certain quality. He didn't come in to become to be that Frankie de Jong that Erik ten Hag was looking for. I think Mount came in to be a Premier League experienced midfielder. And I feel like when he plays, his intensity is high enough. His ball retention is high enough. He's not going to create as much as Bruno because he's not Bruno, but I feel like he's doing all right. It's like
Mason Mount, that's a perfect time to say, Mason Mount is a facilitator for a system. I tried to tell you, man, compare him to Jordan Henderson. When Henderson came, ability-wise, everyone was like, what a joke. When you saw him in the Liverpool system, you thought, shit, I see his worth. Players nowadays who don't have the most incredible value or incredible ability can still be of use and still look world-class in systems, because we are in a day and age now where systems are more prominent and more specific, where average players look amazing. The downside to that is most of those world-class players, and I said this about Sterling a while, but I remember KJ cooked me originally way back when we first started doing these late-night shows. And I said about Sterling, I don't think he's a world-class player, but Pep has got him in a system that makes him look amazing, and that's cool for him. And in England, obviously, he's been there for 5-6 years. He's transferred that into England in terms of how he approaches the final third, how he makes his runs, and how he links up play. Put him in a different situation, it's difficult. And that's not to say players are shit. I just don't think they are as a higher quality as what they used to be, because they're more robotic these days. And that's just the way it is nowadays.
It's not even like a dislike now. I actually was happy he came on because like, maybe you can do something. But it's even just little things like all his shots. If you look at all of his shots, he's taken from Man United. I mean, all of the shots he's taken from Man United. They're either scuffed or blocked. So I'm just like, why are we here?
Don't you think that's a mental issue? You think it's a mental issue?
No, I agree. I do think it's mental. There was a moment tonight He won the ball back just in our half. I thought, well done. Moves the ball to Bruno. The ball comes back to Mount, loses it. It's almost, and some people, again, I'm at a point where people go, that's ability. I'm like, I just don't think it is because I see players that you wouldn't even consider signing for clubs the size of Man United that don't make the mistakes as regularly as they do. So I can't put it down to ability. I agree with you, Cameron. It's the pressure of I've got to deliver. And they play. You know when people are nervous and you can see how stiff they are? These men are all out there stiff and nervous. Because I truly believe if some of these guys leave, and this is what would happen if Rashford left. I know it would happen. Rashford leave and go PSG, scores 45 league goals, maybe it's a bit much, 45 goals in a season. And everyone goes, why do we let him go? We're so stupid. The revisionism will kick in. We're doing it right now. Listen, I thought Maguire played well today. But all it took was Maguire being on the bench for a few months. And suddenly you started seeing Man United fans online say, well, actually, was he really the problem? Again, it goes back to the point. He was never the problem. And no one person or one manager has ever been the problem at Man United. It is so much deeper. And that's why it's hard. You can analyze games and look at mistakes and who did well and who didn't. But when it comes to how do you fix it, which is maybe it's us, maybe we've got to stop having the conversation because that's what a lot of the comments say. If you want to fix it, just selling one of these players ain't going to do it. How do I know that? I've got 10 years worth of evidence that prove it doesn't work at my club. So forgive me for just suggesting, and that's the problem with it. Super chats I want to go to here in member chats. Joshua here says, these players have played together long enough to know each other, yet no sign of osmosis like the other top club. That's the osmosis, right?
Yeah.
I never read the word, but I know the word. They need more trust in each other. I agree with the panelists. Thank you, Josh. This here says to me, says, what pressure? You are playing a team that is bottom with 1 point. But that's where the pressure comes from.
Where the pressure is. You can't lose this one.
That's literally the pressure. This one. You're playing the team at the bottom who you should be comfortably with no problems. The world and these dogs are looking at you, and these players struggle under that. Again, I would hazard a guess that Man United, Sheffield United tonight, even though the Rugby World Cup semi-final was on, congratulations to South Africa, by the way, probably barring the Arsenal-Chelsea game, got more views than any other football match in the world today. That's the pressure, and it's Man United, Sheffield United. Well, United fans, you can say you've won your game, unlike Chelsea and Arsenal. I will say this: City is going to win the league. I think most people still agree with you on that one, Debs. Ronnie here says, I've had enough. Play Mount as the 10. Bruno is gash right now. Anna, would you drop Bruno and give Mount a go in the sort of number 10 attacking midfield role?
I think Bruno should be dropped for a bit. I mean, we have now Kobbie Mainoo's coming back from injury, hopefully. We should have some more options in midfield. Now Amrabat's finally playing in this position. I just think if we drop Bruno, I mean, there's potential for, like I say, for other players to come in. But then again, it's the same issue, we just mentioned with our back line. What was it, 7 rotations in 8 games? Like, it's just more like shuffling around, which sometimes is a good thing, but we've been doing it so much in so many different positions. I just don't know. And this team just crumble at a few changes. So to take Bruno out, like, although he's dropped some stinkers, it's quite a big move in regards to, he's like the captain. He always starts. He doesn't miss a minute for us. So I think there's potential for him to come out definitely, but then other players have to step up and say, if Kobbie Mainoo comes back, that's a hell of a lot of pressure to be putting on him in these big games. So I don't know, Terry. It's hard. Erik ten Hag has got some like big decisions to make, I think.
The question will always be for who? That will always be the question, because Terry read the list of all of our attackers, including midfielders, and we have 6 GA between them all. 6.
I think that's the main issue, though, KJ. Like
4 of them, and 4 of them are with one guy. So you take Bruno out, the guy that they want dropped, and there's no goals or assists in the whole team.
And then the other guy is the other guy they want dropped. So what do we do? Who are we bringing in?
Yeah, and then where you end up in the position of, you end up in what I call friend zone football. Do you know what I mean? All the play, all the patter, but man don't score. Do you know what I'm saying? Like friend zone football, and you don't want to be there. Mr. Thomas here says, is it the Glazers' fault that we struggled today?
Yes, it will always
Yes.
will be the Glazers'
Yes.
fault
We
because
don't have
our
Kane
squad's
because
not
of
good
the
enough.
Glazers.
And why is the squad not good enough? Because they haven't invested.
Always yes.
Of course,
It's always yes. And again, I know what you're saying. They don't pick the team, Terry. They don't pick. They don't do the tactics. They didn't miss the chances. They didn't concede the penalties. Again, no, they didn't. But those things are the symptoms of the disease, not the disease in itself. So yes, everything that goes wrong at Man United, you can bring back to the Glazers within 3 questions. And if you can prove me wrong, I've made this promise for 3 years running. I will pay your mortgage or your rent for 12 months straight cash into your bank account if you can prove to me on a debate live on camera that this stuff does not lead back to the Glazers. If you can, mortgage free for a year, brother. And I know people get offended when I do, oh, you're showing off. I'm not showing off. I'm trying to prove to people, stop saying it isn't the Glazers' fault. And if you can, you get your mortgage paid for a year or your rent. Who couldn't challenge it? But you got to show your face on camera. And if you don't show your face on camera, it don't count. I saw Steve McLaren crying during the clapping. For yes, of course. And
Yeah.
I would assume that Steve McLaren knows Sir Bobby very, very well, because he up until he got a little bit older, up until he's like sort of mid to late 70s, he's very active at Man United, especially when McLaren was there as the assistant manager. So I hear that completely. But
Terry,
yes,
I have a question for you guys. It pertains to the squad. We're talking about lineups and who should be dropped or not. If everyone's fit, who do you pick? And does that 11 actually do something? Like, because we haven't had a fit 11 yet. So I want to know, what would we actually be seeing on the pitch if everyone was fit?
What judged off what the manager's trying to do or what we would do?
No, clearly the manager, because we would all do
got to be off the manager. Yeah,
we all do different things, innit? So
for me, I think Luke Shaw obviously goes in at left back. Lissandro, Varane, probably DALOT with the way we're playing. I do think he would play Casemiro and Amrabat. Then it's going to be Bruno, Rashford, and Hoyland. I just don't think it's going to. I think we know what he's going to do. That's it. And then I think the likes of Mason Mount, Garnacho, they're almost his impact players. They're the guys that will bring on from the bench to give us more energy if we need them. Like that's how I think he would play.
I truly believe if Sancho had apologized, he would have played in a few of these games. I really mean it. Like, look at Maguire. I know we have a bunch of injuries. I know we do. But he still instead of going to a youngster fighting, he's still giving him a shit. And Maguire's been talking all that shit. But it hasn't ever been really directly at the manager. So it hurts me to say, because you look at this team and it's like, yes, we are creating. We could use more control. It's like the one player in our team that would be nice to see either on the left or right. I don't care if it's sitting Sancho, Rashford, or Antony. It could be on either side is Sancho. And I know he hadn't done much before, but during this last period of time, all I thought about is it would have been cool to see him play in the positions that we're trying to do now. Right, because we've been when we were playing transition football, we were playing counterattacking football. Sancho doesn't have the athleticism to do it. That's one thing. We need to have the ball. So finally, when we have the ball, the one player that I think actually would be interesting to see in this team, it's just it just goes to show what's wrong with our club, because nothing works out at the same time.
Yeah, I think all these things play a part. Where I would not reject that notion is that we should still have no problems without playing Sheffield United. And that's the issue for me when we think about Pistol Panda says Sir Alex Ferguson made it work under the Glazers. Don't let these clans tell you otherwise. That's a great challenge I've had many, many times. The difference is if you understand my football club or if you don't understand this about your own football club, I will say this bluntly, you're not a Man United fan or very young, is that when Sir Alex Ferguson was running the club, you got a number of factors here. Firstly, the core of the club that was still winning up to 2013, a large percentage of that core, the likes of Scholes and Giggs and Rooney came in just at the end of it, by the way, Ronaldo, Rio Ferdinand, they all came in before the Glazers. Some of the signings came in during the Glazers period as well, but a good group of the core was there. The running of the club, by the way, maintained with Sir Alex and David Gill. So they run the football operation. So if you actually go and look at my content about the Glazers, I've stated many times that if somebody else could come in and correctly run the football operation at the club, there is a chance that we could get back to winning league titles and winning Champions League with the Glazers as our owners. The reason we blame the Glazers is for 10 years, they've had the wrong people running the club that has damaged the culture, taken away the mentality, and led to where we are now. So you're absolutely right that Fergie made it work. And that's the whole point. They have appointed poor people to run our football club since Sir Alex Ferguson left. So you've proven my point by trying to discredit it. One, because you're either stupid, or two, you haven't started puberty yet. It's one of the two
It's
things.
because he's stupid, because this is his response. Terry!
Dumbest thing I've ever. I read that and I couldn't believe it.
You don't invest in your youth system. You don't keep your managers long enough for systemic change. You give players power. There's your problem. It's the Glazers that do all of those things.
Fucking doing this, really.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Oh, bro. Oh, Pistol Panda. Honest to God. Have you ever seen a panda move? You see how slow they are.
Yeah,
Literally, Pistol Panda.
You know they're actually safer in zoos than out in the wild. That's the thing.
Do you also know that they're supposed to be carnivores, but they're so dumb and lazy that they don't hunt and eat bamboo because they're supposed to be carnivores?
They're
Vegetarians.
I've seen video footage of pandas where a male panda is given an in-heat female, all yours, full consent, do what you want, and he goes, "Nah, I'm gonna eat bamboo and sleep." That's how bad they are, and that's what you named yourself after, bruv. Oh wow, you are an apps. And by the way, 300k to Sancho, yes, given to him by the banker that was employed to run our club by the Glazers. There we go. So every insult you're throwing, every insult you're doing, you'll debate me, but you need the cash up front. No, that what, bruv. You think I'm going to fall for that? Are you going to email me and tell me you tell me you're the prince of a country or something? What are we doing here, bruv? Jesus Christ, that is crazy. Listen, by the way, someone says I'm cooking a panda. I better be careful. They're a protected species, pandas. I better not be too harsh on them, as I'll end up in the nick. Hey Terry, today pound dollars for Bobby, RIP, United legend. Thank you, David. And yeah, look, it's sad news about Sir Bobby today. Genuinely, honestly, today's been a hard day for me. I tweet about this today, but first of all, Sir Bobby died. That is painful, heart-wrenching. One of my best friends, his son today, he's only a young teenager, was mugged by 3 grown men with machetes, and they beat him up a little bit. It was a madness. So that's obviously very sad as well. And my great auntie Peggy passed away today, which is very sad. She's 97, so I'm not gonna. It's funny. One of my cousins posted on Facebook a picture of her and wrote "Gone too soon." I was like, "Bro, she's 97." Like, I said, "What you mean gone too soon?" She's 97, bro. It's been a sad day. People ask, "Why am I smiling?" You got to smile through these moments. You got to remember the good times. Gone too soon.
I'm so sorry.
We're 97, yeah, but thank you for the condolences, people. My auntie Peg. Arisha used to call me when she wrote me my birthday card with your friend, and that's because I was the youngest of all the cousins for a while. And one day all the older cousins were playing, and they wouldn't let me play with them, and I said they're not. I was upset when I was very young, about 4 or 5, and I said I ain't got any friends, and so she played me and said she was my friend, and then every birthday for the rest of my life, or rest of her life, I suppose, she signed it like to Terry, love from your friend. Yeah, so rest in peace, my friend, and I hope you're sleeping good now. Terry, you're going to footy hell for that. Look, my family have a very sick sense of humor. I would never laugh about the death of anybody else, but when it comes to my own family, I will make jokes about it. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. So, but we carried my other auntie. We carried her coffin. I'm not going to say that joke on it because it will offend somebody. I'll say it another time. Listen, people, all look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.